4, agenda changes. Are there any? Okay. Consent agenda. A, April 4th, 2024, regular board meeting minutes. B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. If there are no questions, I would need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I will second.
Roll call. Jim?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. 6, pre-registered citizens to be heard. Limit 5 minutes. State your name and address. B, comments to be limited to 5 minutes. C, according to our state statutes.
We have Grace Abbott's 213 West Main.
Hello, Grace Abbott, 213 West Main Street. I've been reflecting on my past year as a trustee, and I would like to take a moment to share observations and concerns unobstructed. I have concerns in 2 critical areas: meeting decorum and the quality of communication with our community's businesses. Regarding meeting decorum, the conduct I observe in board and subcommittee meetings is discouraging. No matter the issue or exchange, decorum can be civil and professional. As community representatives, it is our responsibility to set the standard for how issues are explored and discussed, welcoming collaboration and transparency. Procedurally, it is confusing how items are chosen to be discussed on the agenda. I believe it is imperative to document how the board processes the agenda item from the very beginning to the end. Not only to protect the integrity of this board, but also to aid in informing our residents and businesses. The potential that one undocumented complaint holds is alarming. My second concern is about selective communication with our local businesses. I have observed what I can only describe as favoritism. Some board members and the president seem quick to tout their ability to call some business owners while not knowing other ones exist. I have not observed the same initiative and care extended to all business owners. We must prioritize collaborative and professional discussions, not only about issues, but also about the goals and growth that lie ahead. We need to look to the new comprehensive plan for guidance as it reflects the short and long-term values in this community. Thanks for your time and attention.
Anyone else?
No.
Okay. 7, committee reports. There are none. 8, unfinished business from previous meetings. There is none. 9, new business. A, discussion on Nye Street parking issue.
This was initially discussed at a public safety meeting, and the plan to go forward and invite residents along Nye Street to discuss the parking issue was basically the plan from the planning or the public safety. We sent invites out to the residents along Nye Street in the section that will be discussed between basically Nash and about Lincoln Street. No, Mill, sorry. Aaron and I both went out and looked at it. We have a few well, we have a solution basically which would require parking only on one side of the road, but would have enough space then for vehicles and that parking lane. Do you want me to kind of discuss the?
It would require redrawing the line to basically allow for parking on the north side. We'll bring it up. And it would be similar lane width then and parking width than what's being proposed for parking on the north side of Main Street when the reconstruction goes through. So there is enough room for that, but with parking on both sides of the street, again, it's going to be a constant problem for first responders. So basically what you would have is shifting the center line to the south, depending on where you are in there, between 3 and 5 feet. And that would allow for room to park on the north side while still having a suitable driving lane on the north side and then a driving lane on the south side.
So I think Jack is here. Jack, which side were you recommending that would be easier for you to make that curve?
For us, in particular with the apparatus, it would be better for us if the line moved to the north and no parking on the north. Coming on that corner of the railroad tracks and heading west, per se, it's tight right there. Especially with people getting out of their cars and walking with no sidewalk there. They're out in the middle of the road most of the time. And there's been numerous times where we've had to come to a complete halt. So for us, I mean, it's going to help if you move to the south. Obviously, there's going to be more room there, but
Is there a reason, Aaron, north versus south, or does it really matter?
It was discussed, the salt has a few other problems with it. It's blocking basically vision for the residents, and you'll have a very similar issue that we have on
With the driveways.
with the driveways being blocked. That was kind of the reason to not have it on that side and put it on the other side, and you get more because you don't have the driveways that you're competing with. Otherwise, you're having very limited. You'll have a lot more limited space for parking. Otherwise.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have sidewalks on either side of that road.
The north side doesn't have room.
Is
that's
there-
a good point that Nathan had. I didn't think about the driveways. I mean, so I can understand that part of it.
Is there any way from Mill eastward to soften that curve a bit to make it widen the road? When I'm looking at the map, so like Mill Street, because that's really where it narrows, is right there, is just east of Mill.
So that's where the line would start to be redrawn, is right at that
It's a
intersection.
starting point. But is there any right-of-way there that could be used to make that corner just a little softer, not so,
To redesign the road.
not necessarily redesign the road, but just why, I don't know what to say. I don't know how much right-of-way is there. Like, when I'm looking at a black line there, is that the
There's about
right-of-way?
10 feet of right of way.
And
The
since
black
there's-
line is the right of way.
And since there's no sidewalk, is there a way to, I don't know, maybe I'm not an engineer, but I'm just looking at that and
Parking and a driving lane.
So maybe in the next time that roadway gets redone, put in the plans to widen up that curve just a little bit, maybe a couple feet, just to.
On the north side or south side?
On the south side.
On the south side.
Well, so the other thing that should be discussed too then is you have sidewalk potentially that could go in there with a reconstruction too. Sidewalk's usually 5 feet and you want to have at least a decent amount of footage for snow storage if you wanted to do that. We don't do sidewalks normally inside subdivisions, but along kind of the basically minor collectors and major collector roadways are probably the better way to go so that you can have safer routes for kids to go to school or to the downtown or to the parks. Nye Street, it looks like will most likely be done sometime in the next 5 years by the county. Through the jurisdictional transfer, they have reconstruct. So that might be something to talk about too at that time. So
So what is the easy fix right now?
It's just move the
trying to
sidewalk.
repaint the lines
Just
and I
repaint
think
the lines.
shift it south, and see if that helps a lot, is basically kind of our recommendation. I think it'll work.
Would it help if we did no parking, like, at that, so like on the north side, allow parking except for where that curve is?
We looked at that, we parked there today. It actually widens to about 42 feet around that curve.
Kind of just past it.
Yeah. So it, like, as it starts to curve, it does go to about 42, I think it was.
43.
43 across, where everything else is 39 throughout there. So it does widen at that curve portion. So it actually, when we were looking at it, we had a few people go around our car and we parked on the side like we were the resident there. A few went over the center line, but they didn't have to go over too much. So we think with the shifting of the line, we should be able to resolve that issue. I don't know if we're gonna fully resolve that issue when it comes to the fire trucks though, because they're just, I've never driven one, I don't know how they turn necessarily, so.
Jackass.
Come on over.
Jackass. That's what I'm wondering, is if you didn't have parking for part of that north side on that curve there, if that would help fire trucks. I don't.
Yeah, I think moving that line to the south is definitely gonna help on that corner. My only concern would be, once you get down towards Black Otter, is keeping that parking lots away from that corner
Yep.
a little bit more.
I think we're pretty far back from the corner already, aren't we?
Yeah,
On the-
we
on
moved
the-
it.
On the north side?
So we moved it initially because you can see where it's yellow still when you're there. So we moved it about 10 extra feet. It's kind of hard to see, but the shadow where there's a line going through on the grass is where the sign is now. It used to basically end at the apex of that curve.
So Jack, can you see now, like with the way so we changed this like more than a year ago, right? Are you still having problems with
Yeah,
this?
I'll guarantee you they park closer to the east from
Yeah,
that
they do.
line.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll guarantee it.
they do.
Part of it can be the sign. It could use a different sign. It's not necessarily the most clear, and then painting the curbs might help too throughout that area. But also it will allow so that turn, which might be so that entrance.
So in this section, the new
Thursday,
line would be
Friday,
about where
Saturday.
that white line is?
Yeah.
there a right turn and a left turn lane right here?
I don't,
No?
No.
I don't think it's delineated, I
not,
think
no.
people tend to do it that way,
Yes.
but it's not like set that way.
Right. The people have a tendency to pull to the north
Yeah.
and sometimes even over the center line.
Mhm.
And because they're turning to go to the left, and then the people to the right have room, they can sneak around. One thing that you have to remember though is if you do go this route with the cars that can't park on the south, we might have to look at maybe, cause that corner, when you come off of Mill Street and you wanna go left or right, it's really hard to see what's coming down there. I don't know if you've ever taken that trip, but they're shaking their heads. Yeah, when you're
All we
stopped
can
on
do
Mill
is
Street.
try.
Well,
You know.
in that area, if it's hard to see, that's something that we can address with our vision corner ordinance, if there's like trees in the way.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's trees, but it's a difficult corner to see.
Okay.
So would this parking restriction be 100% of the time or just certain times and days? Do we have any residents here? I know, Pat, you're on I Street, but is there anybody else here that received anything? I'm just curious. I'm just wondering, would we do this all the time, or like, it would be like after a certain time of day? I mean, I would think a fire can happen anytime, so we wouldn't want parking, but it's when there's cars parked, that's the problem. So it would make sense to do it 100% of the time, right?
I think you have to.
You
Once
always
you
have
get
to.
the
control
lane,
it,
you can't
fire,
park on
yeah,
the other side.
no.
You can park on the north side.
But I mean,
We're not just gonna
Or
do
like
south
if
side,
you're a
sorry.
resident, could you park like further down type of thing? Like, is it 100% of the time? I think it would be confusing if it was different sections
I
for
think
different
the
times of
initial
day.
thought was to do it 100% of the time.
Okay.
And not do 2 hours on Sunday or whatever.
Right.
And try to figure out the time periods
Yeah,
that
that's
it's
right.
most busy or whatever.
So if somebody lives there, there's gonna be just parking across the street, and that's what it is. Okay.
I mean, there's only discussion tonight, so realistically, if that's, let's say, the decision you guys wanted to go for, we could always send a letter out to the residents stating what the board kind of has decided, and it'll be on this next agenda, inviting them to there to see if they have any other issues. And we'll just push it a few weeks from now, probably a month from now, so that it gets time to get there, the letter.
Yeah, I wish there were some residents here, you know?
Yeah, and it always makes me nervous because we send them out, but sometimes the mail does weird things. I haven't gotten any calls from any residents that live on that street either, so that's, might not be a bad idea to do the follow-up letter with what was discussed and determined, and then to be on
Well,
the,
proposed and then.
proposed at this next
Right.
meeting for official vote. If you do have concerns about any of these changes, to please attend or call.
I think that's a
Is
very
it what,
It's a
3 or
good
4?
idea.
It's
3 or 4 lots. And I think the one on Nash faces towards Nash.
6, well, 5 or 6.
1, 2, 3,
It's 5, but
So basically, you want a head nod from us and to go ahead.
no, I
with
mean,
the letters?
yeah, I mean, I don't really need much. It's just,
Yeah.
if you guys are good with that plan going forward to do that, we can just go forward with that.
I'm good with that. I think we should address, if they have concerns, we'll address those. And then after, if we end up implementing this, after we implement it,
So, this is basically just to potentially remove a village board member from needing to be on the senior activities committee. Basically, a report can be given to the board from that committee. I think the committee meets during the days normally, which is hard for a lot of the board members to attend, and I think there's a lot of work that goes into the plans that they do. So it's a very demanding committee, and I think it would be better suited to have more volunteers on that committee running it, to, I guess, help the ladies do planning and stuff like that. And the chair would just submit a report after each meeting to the village board, and it'd be coming in your packets that way.
We would also change it from 4 to 5 citizens.
Right.
Yes. So I would need a motion to accept this ordinance, or this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-12-24, amending the Senior Activities Commission structure.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. C, discussion and possible action on appointment of citizen members of the commission. Who we would be appointing would be planning and zoning. Barry Hoff's term was up. He said he would stay on for 3 more years. Library trustee, we would be replacing Pat. That would be Jane Oak. Zoning Board of Appeals would be Joanne Mueller and Mike Hansen as the alternate number 2. Their term was up. They agreed to go on for 3 more years. And then Board of Review, alternate would be Bob Jewell from the board, the trustee. And then Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District would be Tom Banker and Mike Belisle. The senior committee will be appointed in the first meeting in May. We would also be appointing Shauna Keel to sign vouchers. And Jane Oak will be stepping out of Black Otter Lake District, and Bob Jewell will be in for trustee. If this is acceptable, I would need a motion to accept these appointments.
I'll make a motion to accept the appointments of the citizen, or the commission members.
I would second.
When is the urban forestry one in this?
There isn't anything on urban forestry, is there?
Something that
Yeah.
Jane was on?
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah,
But
it's,
it's not on any of the sheets that I had.
yeah, I think it's been omitted from that for a while. It wasn't being used until this last year. I should have reminded Jane on that. Currently, I think Jane Folk is on that.
Okay.
I don't know if she wants to stay on
That's
or
fine.
Okay.
I would be interested to, or I would go to the meetings, but if they ever happen.
I think it's just once a year.
Yeah, it's typically once a year, but
For
Okay.
Arbor Day. I was on it
There's
once.
been a motion and a second, correct?
Yep.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. D, discussion and possible action on RFP bid results for town drive lighting projects for the lights.
so this was bid out, and we've had 2 submittals. Both were from the same company, with one being the original bid and one being an alternative. The idea would be to do the original bid, as that matches Oak Street by the school as well. Number is the matching of Oak Street. That doesn't include freight for delivery, but the 32 was the alternative bid. The alternative bid just had a different type of pole.
So we got 2 bids for lighting from the same company
Yeah.
for the same project, and
Yes.
that's all we got.
Yep.
But that's installation.
Why did
I
you do that?
understand that.
It's for lights. The first one's lights.
First one's lights, but the second one is installation.
Correct.
There's two for lights.
Which will be on the next discussion.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're looking at, so we're looking at the actual, just the lights themselves. Okay.
Oh, I was too far down, sorry. Are we doing installation first, or there's the package?
It says lights first.
Lights.
Lights
Yeah.
first, okay, so
You're
the package was just.
You're right.
So why did we only get one?
No one else bid.
No one else bid?
No. We had it out for 2 weeks, then we published it into the paper and had it out for another 2 weeks. Did 2 separate potential meetups, no one came, and that's what we got.
Actually don't have that in mind.
So in the packet, what we're looking at, the handwritten, the contract bid summary,
Mm-hmm.
which one is,
The 34,962.77 plus freight, is the original matching Oak Street.
okay, so it's,
That's what our RFP was on.
Okay.
The second one is his alternative bid, which he offered as some cost savings, but
okay. But then what comes first in the packet is 54,471.
That's the installation.
That's the installation, okay,
Yeah,
this is
sorry.
why I'm confused. All right,
Yeah,
now I get
I had
it.
the same problem here, I was trying to figure out what you're doing. Okay. And do I'm assuming we want to go with the ones that match, right? That's
That
the
was-
preference?
that was my thought on it, yeah.
That would be a preference.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the lighting in the cost of $34,962.77 plus freight to Belial B&H Lighting for the town drive lighting project lights.
I'll second. Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Grace?
Can I ask a question?
We've already had a motion and a second. What is your question?
We're just purchasing the lights?
Yeah, the next
We're
portion is the installation. The next item.
The
They're
motion
flipped
is-
around in the packet.
The motion is, yeah, is on the plates.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. E, discussion and possible action on RFP bid results for Town Drive Lighting Project light installation.
So this, we got 2 bids on for the installation, one being B&H Lighting and the other being Bodart Electric. Bodart Electric had the lowest bid at $43,428.50. That would be our recommendation for the installation of the lights.
Is there a significant, I mean, they're $11,000, is there a significant difference? We're just installing, right? Same installation, same.
Yep.
Any questions?
Any reason to keep it in town and have Jeremy Belial do it?
He's the one that bid it.
We
I'll make a
Any other
motion to
questions?
approve Bodart Electric bid of $43,428.52 for the Town Drive Lighting Project light installation.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. F, Discussion on reserved liquor license.
So you should have a memo in your packet for me, on the reserved liquor licenses. Let's see.
Can you explain the difference between the regular license and the reserve license?
So basically, in 1997, or was it 94? I think it was 97. The state basically capped every municipality that had a liquor license at that time, and that's your set amount of liquor licenses. We had 8. So then those are sold, and they're whatever the price that we came up with, other than there's a max of $600. So those are sold like that. Anything else, they wanted to give, basically, if you increase in 500 population, every 500 people, you get a reserve license. In order to purchase that reserve license, you have to pay a minimum of $10,000 plus the cost that you have for your Class B. So that the only difference is the fact it's a way for the bars to minimize competition, basically, is the best way to put it. And not so that you have 100 bars on a block and basically diversify some of the downtowns, I think.
Okay.
So the village currently has, like I said, we have 2 right now. One is actually in use. It was purchased for Otter Creek back when that was first put in. But it's only a one-time fee of the $10,000. They don't have to pay that annually or anything like that.
Okay. So in total, what do we have here for licenses? And I wasn't quite clear, I was trying to read through this. Did we
Right.
get another license? Do we have to buy another license?
No, so
We currently have licenses we're not gonna
Yeah.
use.
So we currently have 8 regular licenses and 2 reserve licenses. The ones being used we have 7 of the regular license in use. 2 of them are owned by the same owner, so one of those will be going away in the next year, most likely, from moving buildings.
Mhm.
And then we have 1, basically, of the reserves left. So by July of next year, we'll have 3 regulars and 1 reserve. And if anyone does come in, they would obviously take the regular ones first. And then potentially the only thing is if we would end up needing that reserve would be the problem. So main reason why this is coming up now is this always was a thing. The state changed basically that it doesn't have to be a contiguous municipality, which opens us up because they do it by county now. It allows us to sell potentially our reserve license permanently to Grand Chute, Appleton, who I know are both looking for them. So most municipalities probably have a few left over. I know Greenville has about 15 unused reserve licenses. So there might be a large market, but the question is there a price point in which it makes sense for us to sell it?
Okay, so I'm assuming that at one point we were using all 8 regular licenses, which is, otherwise I don't see the reason for issuing a reserve one, right?
Right.
Okay, so, and the $10,000 the municipality pays for the reserve? No.
Well, if we sold it, yes. But, so like if all of our regulars were used and another bar or something wanted to be put in, they would have to buy the reserve and they'd have to pay the $10,000 to us.
Okay,
When Otter Creek started, they had to pay the $10,000 for the reserve because there were no licenses available.
okay.
Because we had the Crooked Door, which was torn down. We also had Porks, which was there, which we don't anymore. So there's a few that have basically turned over. And you get, like I said, every 500 population, you get another reserve. So
That you could buy.
we don't buy it.
We don't buy it.
The resident, so like, once our population hits 3782, will have another license.
Okay, so it's just granted to us.
Right.
And then we, as a municipality, can sell it to an end user establishment for $10,000.
Right.
Okay, and that's fixed? That's a,
At minimum, you can go higher. I mean, we could sell them for 50 grand if we wanted
okay.
to. But realistically, is someone gonna pay 50 grand to start a business here of a bar? Probably not, at this point. So, where other municipalities may, and once you sell it, you don't get it back, at least if we sell it to another municipality. Where if we sold, so Otter Creek's, if she wanted to take one of our regular ones, we would then have 2 reserves, which would potentially limit competition if she wanted to, because you would have to sell, if you had most of them filled, if you had 2 more people come in and someone else came in looking for one, they'd have to put up $10,000 to get that.
So if Otter Creek sold, let's just say to Jim,
Right.
he could say, I want a regular license, I don't want
Right.
the reserve.
Right. And then we would have 2 licenses left plus 2 reserves.
Okay.
So what's the point in having, why would Jim say he wanted a regular license instead of a reserve?
I
I mean,
mean,
does it matter?
he would have to pay, otherwise he'd have to pay another 10,000 if he wanted to keep
So
the
it
reserve.
wouldn't, if he bought it, it doesn't transfer, he'd have to pay for the reserve, okay,
Mhm.
all right.
So is there a recommendation? I mean, based on like the survey results and things, what people are looking for and that sort of thing, I mean,
I think realistically, if you wanted to sell it, I would sell it between $50,000 and $100,000.
okay.
So where are
Because realistically, if we did have a business wanting to come in, and that business left, and we were maxed out, then we'd get 10,000 every time there's a new business that wants one. In places like here, that probably isn't necessarily happening as much, but when you go to Grand Shooters, something like that,
Mhm.
that's a small amount for them to pay for a license, the 10,000, and they might have turnover, or they might actually make that 100 grand in a year, or in a few years, by one spot basically just failing.
Rotating.
Mhm.
So on the agenda, it just says discussion. So
Right.
we're not taking any action
We
tonight.
can't until May 1st is the first time we can sell it.
And then the liquor licenses just go to, these are just for the taverns, or they,
This is just for serving beer and liquor at a bar. So it doesn't matter if it's grocery or anything like that.
What if it was, don't we have one of our license, isn't one of the flower shops, don't they have
Class
the
C
class-
one.
The Class C,
Yeah.
okay.
is that one of our licenses? It's not, okay. And this also doesn't, I'm assuming this also does not affect our temporary licenses that we issue for events.
So then, if American Legion came in, would they be purchasing one
Yes.
or requesting a regular license?
Yep.
So now we're down to 2?
Yep. 2 plus
Plus the reserve.
One
plus 1
reserve.
reserve. If we sell a reserve, you'd still have 2 left.
And if we had more businesses that would be coming in, we could be strapping ourselves.
Potentially.
Until we
if-
get 300 or 400 more people.
Right.
Which
Then we need
takes
another one.
how long?
Well, you have
Based on the
half of a subdivision coming in that was approved 2 years ago with West Wind, which is about 20 duplexes. And you got another potential subdivision that's been preliminary platted, which will probably add another 100. So, I mean,
So that's 100 people.
right, I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight, but we
It's
did
not.
jump,
That's the thing.
we did jump from 3,000 to 3,300 within a year. So, I mean.
Because of the apartments,
Correct.
more, yeah.
Yep. So, I'm not
Because,
saying it's not gonna happen, I'm just saying, this is the option, I mean, if, realistically, if a bar wanted to come in, yeah, and we didn't have one, we could still potentially buy one from another municipality and charge that bar owner if they really wanted to come in. That's also an option. I don't know if we're gonna sell them either. I mean, just because, to me, the $50,000 to $100,000 makes sense to me, doesn't necessarily mean another municipality it's gonna make sense to. Especially when you have a place like Greenville who's got 15 of them. If their price is way different, then we might not be selling any. So that's kind of why, but to me, I think if we got $100,000, that would be probably worth it. But
Where are our current licenses? Where are the current licenses at? So you get, Hardtails has 2, Fairtown, Black Otter, Wanted.
Bowling alley.
Lanes.
Okay,
Um,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's still one
yeah,
more.
that's not us.
Where's the other license?
Trying to bring my list.
What do you have on the list, Jim? You've got,
I got Bowling Alley, Wanted, Black Otter, Beartown Pub, and then Hardtail's currently having 2.
And Stroh's is.
Yes,
Stroh's
still
still
owns theirs.
Stroh still owns theirs? Okay.
Still out there, it's a
Oh, okay.
issued liquor license.
so we'll actually have probably 2 more in the next
Okay.
year.
All
So
right.
we'd have 4 and 1 or so.
Okay.
Or, yeah, 30.
June 30th.
Is this something that if we decided down the road, we could still do it? I mean, it isn't,
Oh, yeah.
doesn't have to be done at a certain date or
I
time?
think the reason I would suggest trying to think about it now is we're gonna be one of the first people in this space where it might take a few years for some of the other municipalities to realize what they can do with these. More competition lowers pricing, so where I know Grand Chute's looking for a bunch and Appleton's looking for a bunch, and if Greenville and only a few of the other ones are selling at this time, we might be able to get one sold potentially for a higher rate than what we could if we waited. But it's, I mean, it's,
Okay, so from my perspective, I would be okay with you investigating whether or not they're sellable. I highly doubt that any time in the near future, we're gonna add another 4 bars within the municipal limits. It just doesn't seem very likely. Even, I can't imagine a scenario where we add 4 more bars. I mean,
yeah,
maybe one somewhere down the road if somebody wants to, you know, if Hardtails, the current space leases out to someone else and they want to turn that into another establishment, maybe that one.
right.
But then you'd still have another 3 licenses left over, so I'd be okay with investigating it, just exploring it. So,
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we'll go to G, discussion and possible action on RFP bid results from 2024 Hortonville Street Maintenance Crack Filling Project.
So this is a bid for this year's crack filling. We had 4 bids come in. Asphalt seal and repair was the low bid for $9,930.
Same thing, same.
Yep, everybody's bidding on the exact same project, and Farner was the one that did our crack filling last year and did a good job. But I don't have any reason why not to use asphalt seal. They do a lot of work around the area.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the asphalt seal and repair bid in the amount of $9,930.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, H, discussion on sex offender ordinance.
I can take this one if you'd like, Nathan. So we were in the process of updating our sex offender map. Basically, the map states that it's a picture of the village, and then you have like a school, and you draw a circle around 2,000 feet, because the current ordinance says 2,000 feet that a sex offender can't live that close to. We just had one recently. It was like right on the corner of Cedar and North Nash Street. So basically this map needs to be updated every year annually. And we found a discrepancy because the state actually had an act, and that's attached in your packet here that I handed out. But it's 2015 Act 156, which basically states that the municipalities cannot go over 1,500 square feet, or 1,500 feet. So, and our ordinance says 2,000. So Ashley put something out to all of you, and what her thoughts are on the reducing the footage. So she highly recommends that we reduce it from 2,000 to 1,500 feet. I thought this would be a good time to relook at this ordinance and revisit this ordinance and potentially change the ordinance, because we're due to do our map, and that's gonna cut down a little bit. One of the things that when I was talking to her, she said that the percentage is also an issue within the state of Wisconsin. Municipalities need to have between 5 and 20% availability for sex offenders to live in municipalities. So, and I think that's reasoning why the state cut it down from 2,000 to 15.
So if we were to go with the maximum barrier that is allowed by law, would we be compliant with that percentage? So if we go to 1,500 feet, because we're currently at 2,000, which opens us up to some liability. So if we go to
Right.
1,500, are we?
And when I asked Ashley about that, she said that she thought we would be, then we would be compliant with that also.
We won't know until we actually see the map when it's created,
Yeah.
whether or not.
Okay.
But she said you're making a good effort in potentially lowering. I mean, bottom line is we have to lower it. We could be sued if we don't lower it. So
What's our current percentage of availability?
that's
No
kind of, I had really no idea. I mean, we have.
We don't have a map as of now. Right
Well,
now,
we do, but,
well, you can explain how you do it.
Yeah.
You have to
It-
manually do it. It's
right,
not-
right. So I do it two ways. So I have the map, and nothing has changed since I've been here. But basically what they do is they take the school, and then they take the center of the school and draw a map with a compass going around it at 2,000 feet. And basically what I can do on Spillman is our CAD system that we use for dispatching. It's got a map. And I can actually take the property line of the school and extend it out to where that person wants to live. And I can actually see how many yards, and then convert the yards to feet to make sure that they're not within that measurement. So that's how I'm currently doing it. It's nice that we have the ability to use it. But if somebody wants to see the actual map, I can't give them my system. So we should have something on paper that dictates where they can live and where they can't live.
So you would have to draw this up for someone else?
No,
So we do that through GIS. We got a list of parcel numbers, and we just give it to the company, and they'll just do it shouldn't take too long. They just basically type in, 1,500 feet from borders of these parcels, and the map would be developed.
So nothing changed with Act 56 to define like, schools, parks, playgrounds, licensed daycare centers. So I mean, nothing, if I'm reading this correctly, nothing changed that way.
correct.
So does something have to, like a
Oh, was
place
the
of
trails removed?
No, they weren't.
Oh,
recreational areas?
Right.
That's where I'm kind of wondering,
So I had that discussion again with,
trails.
Yep, so I had that discussion again with Ashley, because we were talking about putting a walking trail right down Main Street. She said that would not be included in it because it's a sidewalk. However, the Wash Trail would be included in that.
So then what about parks and?
All the parks are included Commercial Club Park. So in our ordinance, it states public. However, Commercial Club is private, but I explained to her what it is and how it's used. And she said, so I could take my children over and use the park and nobody would charge me for that. I said, you're correct. And she said, okay. She said, we can argue the point that it is open to the public.
Well, and that's where summer rec is as well.
Right, and I explained that to her too.
As far as discussion, I would, if it keeps us within the percentage, I would recommend we stay with the highest amount that we can. I mean, 2,000 we can't stay with because it's illegal, but 1,500, if they're gonna allow us to stay with 1,500, I wouldn't go any lower than that.
No.
Go with whatever the maximum we're allowed to block off as a buffer zone.
Is there anything you saw in our current ordinance that should be updated?
No, just the 1,500. Changing the 2,000 to the 1,500.
Is the permanent residence is just 14 days? Okay. Something, 30 days I thought was the residence for registering to vote.
28 days.
28 days.
Right, 28 days. There might be something down the line. I know that Ashley told me to look at 2 other municipalities, and that she had to help them revise those. So that might be something that we need to look at. It allows for them to enter this building to vote. As of right now, because we have the library that's attached, they can't even come in to vote. So I think we need to change that so that they can come and vote. I mean, they can, at this time, if they live in the village, they could get an absentee vote, and that's probably how they're doing it. But there's different things in some of those ordinances that she helped rewrite, and I think that they're good things that we should probably put into our ordinance.
So if somebody had to come into the police department for something, they couldn't?
Probably not, no?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it seems like that should be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, unless we brought them in here
Yeah.
for questioning or something like that, but, and that way then they're being,
Yeah, I think
but if they had to just walk in off the street,
Or you can use the pantry, like,
right,
they had to get the pantry.
right,
Yeah, I mean, I think that should be addressed, but very specifically.
yeah.
And if they have to pay a fine, they have to, I mean, how, that just seems unreal. If they get a speeding ticket and they have to come to court's in this room,
Mhm.
that legally they couldn't
Right.
come here.
And that's what, our ordinance is very old,
Yeah.
and we followed pretty much the same ordinance that Grand Chute and Appleton, I mean, they all pretty much say the same.
Yeah.
So it may be something that we look at, to revamp it, because she looks like she's changing some of them in some of the municipalities.
In one section here, it does say a sexual offender may be physically present on any day or time within a child's safety zone if he, it should say they, or he or she versus he, has official business as determined by the reasonable person standard and is accompanied by another adult who is not a sex offender. So, and it references a code, which I wonder if that's, is that
That's
state?
our old code.
That's our old code,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So we just have discussion
Yep.
tonight, not any action, so is she gonna comb through anything like, we're talking voting and that kind of thing on this ordinance to come back to us?
I mean, she could. I don't really know if you would need it, but yeah.
I guess
'Cause
I
I
would
think-
suggest that we change it to the 1,500 and have her review it to see if there's anything that she can identify as problematic.
Because I mean, realistically, the library is its own portion of the building, so.
I mean, it still would be good to have her just to see
Right.
if there's anything problematic.
Right. Agreed.
And then come back with that, and then we can vote on it, change.
Everyone's okay with that?
Yep.
All right. Then we'll move to I, possible, or discussion and possible action on boardroom AV equipment.
So you got a copy of the quote someone gave us for the equipment. I guess the question is whether or not you want to move forward with it, or not. This solution basically would make it a system that should be basically anyone can function it. It would have preset functions for meetings, speakers, and library activities, microphones, some more speakers going in. It would fix the hearing loop that's never really worked here. And kind of have it all in one system that would basically be recorded for meetings if you wanted, plus posting those directly. I can't remember if there's live with those meetings yet. I'd have to talk again with them on that, but it would all be through Teams. It would be, so there would be no additional time basically right now, like we have to combine all those files into one file to make the basically the movie that goes on YouTube right now. This would just be basically streamlined, so it would record the meeting. It would be one file that then we would just have to upload directly into YouTube.
This, and maybe this is more of a question for Jane, would this make things easier for you guys? Because I know that it's kind of
Yes.
labor intensive
Definitely.
right now.
Mhm.
So now will this be compatible with locking us out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I told them we needed to have that kill switch, basically, so.
Okay.
And this would also amplify during meetings so that folks that are here could
Correct.
hear us much better.
Correct, and it would be recorded correctly with with the recording system, with the miking, because it would all be linked together, so it wouldn't be an amplifier that's going into a microphone, basically.
And looking at the service agreement, it's a 3-year service agreement.
Yeah, and that's optional. They just sent that along with it. But yeah, it's not necessary if they, I mean, we don't have to do it. But
Is it everything saved here on a server, or is this on the cloud, or where is?
it's on our server.
On our server, okay. I would think this would fix some of the glitchy errors that we've had. But it would also make it easier for anyone that comes to a meeting. They could hear us better.
Any questions?
So what kind of action would you need, Nathan? Like, possible action, so is this,
So there's a few options for you guys. You can approve it as presented. You can request myself to do an RFP, or to try to get more bids. A few other municipalities, I know New London recently had theirs updated by these people. Basically, they went out to bid, we got no other bids, but theirs was about 115,000 for their setup, but they do a lot more
stuff?
with theirs.
So when we do an RFP, sort of back to this discussion we had earlier, we would have to go with whoever the lowest bid is.
So this would be probably different, because I'm not gonna request a quote. It's gonna be this, I'm not gonna ask another company to match the equipment. It would just be the solution. So this is the solution we would want that does the looping, does the microphones, recordings, and kind of basically say to them what I did here. And whoever system you like better, you could potentially choose. But
So it would be the pack, we get to choose. It wouldn't necessarily be, this is the lowest bid.
right,
We could look
the
at
lowest bid is a lot easier on things that are the exact same.
Okay.
So otherwise, if you're looking for a solution, sometimes they're different, and that's what they're presenting. So
Why do you have a budget for all this?
we don't.
Do you have any free money in the budget? But not budgeted, obviously, but.
There's some in reserves that could be used for this. You know, there's ways to fund it if we would want to go forward with it. But yeah, it's not something that was in the CIP this year to replace or do, so.
Question for
Is it
Alan.
possible to wait till the next budget and put it in the budget?
Potentially, yeah. See why
Would that
not.
make more sense?
Potentially, yeah.
So basically, you could get bids towards August, September, somewhere in there, so that we could include it in our next budget and
Well,
then
I don't know
go
if anyone's gonna
forward.
bid. That's-
Pardon?
I don't know if anyone's gonna bid. I think it's gonna be very similar to the bids we did for the RFP recently with the lights. I think it's gonna,
But that way we would know and we could put it in the new budget.
technically, yeah.
Okay. What does everyone think about that? I think that's a good idea,
I'd like
rather than
to,
trying to rob Peter and Paul and, you know.
Well, if it's put into a budget for next year, then we have to take away from something to, you know what I mean? So if we're putting it in 2025, then we would have to reduce, is there something that we have upcoming in 2025 that we would look at potentially reducing in order to budget for this?
Do you have a
Liquor license?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if we sell one, that, you could use that for that. Yeah, I mean, we do have potentially some stuff. We don't have any pricing for, potentially some of the stuff that we were looking at doing behind the downtown. Because some of those we'd like to do those solutions prior to the Main Street reconstruction, so that if there is some enhanced features and parking, that's all done. So that's potentially on there. Also, some of the equipment that we need after the Main Street reconstruction is in there. It's not like we don't have a lot of other things for funding in that budget right now. But, yeah.
What types of reserve funds if we chose to do something this year?
Future project funds, there's a few thousand in the municipal center fund, which was donations for this building and actually this facility from some of the residents back in 2014 that we still have in reserve. There's, like I said, there is some fund, that we do have a good amount in reserve funds in different areas, but not specifically spelled out for this.
I'm in favor of pursuing it immediately for a couple of reasons. It sounds like it would automate some of the work that employees have to do, which pays back in other ways when attention can be given elsewhere. And then also, I guess in a year, every cost always does go up, so I mean, in a year it will be that much more.
So,
Abby, I don't know if this is a need in the library, that,
Would this enhance some of your library programming? Would it allow you to offer programming to people who maybe couldn't make it to the library or for a program?
I think the enhancement to the loop system would be very helpful. We do see a growing population of folks with hearing issues, so that would be really helpful. The speaker system for movies and stuff would be enhanced.
I just think about like waiting a whole nother year for people that are attending meetings. We've gotten, you know, a great turnout for meetings, but a lot of them can't hear us. That's why my own spouse won't come to meetings, because they can't hear. I don't know. I just feel like if we wait for a budget, then we're budgeting for it, I get it, but we're probably then gonna be looking at maybe using reserve funds next year too. So,
Well, from my perspective, I mean, it's more than, the number's a little higher than I would like to see, but it's not like cringe-worthy, like some quotes that we see come in, they say, ooh, government job, right? So, looking at it, it's a little high in places, but it's not crazy. But even with that being said, I would love to see, at the very minimum, that it go out for bids, because even though I have a background in the technology field, and I've seen stuff like this, there might be another company out there that'll come in way higher, and there might be one that'll come in way lower. So in order to provide an educated choice, right, you have to at least try to go out and see if there's another company that's willing to bid for the solution for this, right, instead of just taking one.
They do have a state contract with the UW system.
Yeah.
Was bid out through 2027. So basically, you could take that, but it's not like a state bid like the cars are with the PD. So it's a completely different thing. Just
I understand. Even with that being said, though, I'm a little hesitant if we can't identify where funds are going to come for to pay for something. You know, I see the need, but if we don't have the funds for it, we need to, before we go ahead and spend money, we need to identify where the money is and where it's coming from. Otherwise, down the road, we have to take it from something else that we may not have intended to take money from.
so what kind of action would you need, Nathan? Just, so you obviously contacted these folks for some sort of bid.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only one that no other municipalities use. So Greenville does them as well, so I just called them and basically that's who they gave me.
Okay.
So
Could it be where you?
I don't know if it's best to go out for RFP or if it's just best to try to get a second quote.
Second quote, and then maybe look at what types of reserve funds are available out there.
Right.
Types of thing, maybe bring that back at the same time and.
Yeah. Because
Do you want a motion?
I don't think we're gonna get anything at the RFP. I think we're better off trying to pursue a secondary quote for this area.
Where's the total quote for this whole?
It should be in
Almost the second to last.
the last page should have, well, not the last page,
On this one, are you on this one?
Page 12.
13 of 19.
Really hard.
It's 34,732.
Keep going that way. There.
I would suggest maybe calling like some of
And
the
there's another
like
$4,000 for the
Cease
maintenance.
Electronics, Months Audio Video.
Mhm.
Just, I mean, they may not do this, but they may be able to point you in the right direction for someone to get a competitive bid.
Yeah.
Do you want an actual motion or just a head nod?
No, I'm good with just going forward with it.
Okay.
Thank you, Nathan, for working on this.
When can we revisit it?
Once I get one, once I get a secondary quote, or if I'm a few months out and I haven't had anyone return my calls willing to do it, then I might bring it back, but it would be once I get that next quote, I'd bring it back right away.
Thanks.
And funding sources.
Yeah.
Okay, we will move to 10, report of village officials. A, clerk treasurer,
My report,
financial report.
my report was in the packet. I didn't put in the Excel spreadsheet. That would be in the next agenda.
Any questions for Jane? Okay, we'll move to B, director of public works, Aaron.
My report was in the packet, and I did hear today from our contractor doing village-wide street sweeping, and that should take place next week.
Did you connect with the contractor that was doing alley and to do the repairs that the people that lived on alley 3 wanted done? I know we gave them extra time for their.
We did, we walked it with them, and they're coming up with a solution. So we basically just informed them that we're gonna hold on to our reserve that we haven't paid them yet until they come up with a solution for it. So our engineer's been working with them to try to find a way to mitigate that situation.
I just wanted to make sure it was being followed up because it's getting warmer and they're gonna start looking for,
Yep.
especially as that bill comes.
No, we were out there with them on site.
Any other questions for Aaron? We'll move to C, police chief, Chris.
My report is in the packet. We had a power failure in a large part of the municipality on Tuesday evening. We had an electrician come in because we have one on my side of the building that is humming, and Ally's got one on her side that's humming. I was able to turn the breaker off from the box. So mine stopped humming. However, her server's plugged into that one, and that's her only option. So we contacted an electrician today, had them come. He feels that maybe our building was struck by lightning. I had one of the officers was in the office and heard a big, huge bang or pop. We had 3 surge protectors that blew up. 8 breakers were popped. We had 2 in here for the courts that popped. Her surge protector was also needing replacement. You guys had 2 popped, 1 surge protector. Ally?
2 surge protectors and a bunch of circuits.
So, yeah.
Are we insured?
I was gonna say, is that insurance?
I don't know. I mean, the surge protectors were fairly cheap, $14.99 for a surge protector.
Those ones.
And I think they probably I know mine needed to be replaced probably. But, I mean, the bottom line is the surge protectors did what they were supposed to do, and they protected all of our equipment instead of blowing up all our servers. So we're thankful for that.
One of my computers is completely fried though,
Yeah.
so not completely protected.
Completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions for Chris?
Well, my business, I deal with surges all the time. So you might want to, especially if you're using the inexpensive surge protectors, you might want to look at replacing the ones that didn't blow as well.
Right.
Because with that type of a surge, you're going to see damage to them. And if they're inexpensive, you should replace them anyway.
Right, and we did. We were told to get the ones with the higher, is it joules on them, something. So we went with those, with the higher joules so that, I guess you're better protected, so. But yeah, we looked at replacing a bunch more.
Yeah, it's not worth spending out too much for those.
No,
As long
but
as-
I mean, figure $24 for a surge protector is a pretty decent price.
Yeah.
So, and I got them on clearance.
You can still use the other ones for other stuff, but
Right,
don't
right.
use them for critical things anymore.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. D, library director, Ally.
I've been working on that the last couple days. I don't have a report, but our library board meeting is coming up on Tuesday at 4 o'clock here.
You can come talk to me after about your computer.
It's already being checked out.
Is it?
It is.
Is
We're
there-
under warranty through our library system,
Okay,
so they're picking it up tomorrow.
okay. There's a circuit inside of the power supplies that's designed to blow, and it'll make the whole system not work.
Yeah,
But it's designed to blow out that one little thing instead of the whole system.
yeah, that's what did blow, is the power supply inside the tower. We already replaced the power supply externally, and it still didn't work. Yeah.
Any questions for Ally? Okay, we move to E, attorney, and Ashley is out tonight. F, administrator Nathan.
Our slab was poured this week for our kayak rental station. Kayak rental station looks like the end of April.
By the end of the month, I
Um,
think.
Should be put in and installed and ready to go. Other than that, just kind of working on some future potential plans, and started planning for next year on CIP, stuff like that.
Any questions for Nathan? Okay, we'll go to G, building permit report. It is not in the packet. H, court report was in the packet. Does anyone have questions? Okay, we'll go to I, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
I have some. I'd like to discuss having maybe designing a procedure that can be in place for the data that we collect from the community that influences our decision-making, and that it could be available to all of the board members, so we can all see what each other is seeing. Something procedural,
Any
something
others?
that can be documented.
Sorry.
Nathan looks like maybe it needs more info.
Yeah, I guess, so, are you talking like a survey to the residents, or?
Not a survey, just like if there would be something akin to like a Google share where it's like, oh, this board member saw this complaint and I can see that.
We might have some stuff, yeah.
And then additionally, I'd like to revisit the way the variances for the industrial park got put off for 120 days. Is that something that can be discussed again? 120 days puts you like in the middle of summer, which is if there could be collaboration with them, which I visited them after that meeting and they indicated collaborative communication, you'd maybe want to let them get started on some solutions prior to 120 days out from,
Yeah, I think that they were instructed to bring solutions that they were proposing to us for that meeting. I get that they wanna, I guess, yeah, we can add it into the agenda, it's not a problem.
okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Anything else? Okay, we'll go to 11, communication and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
There is a meeting next Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock,
5 o'clock.
which you will be attending.
Could be out of town.
Oh, you're gonna be out of town, okay. Then we will go to B, Hortonville Hortonia Fire District News. Jim?
So we had a meeting on Wednesday the 10th. We discussed the fire and EMS budgets to date. We looked at the number of fire calls and EMS calls. I passed around the fire calls sheet. Both of them are right around average. So 23 fire calls in the first quarter, 9 currently in April, and then 58 EMS calls. So both of those are right on par with where they have been. Chief Kunke talked about purchasing the new pumper tender. Pierce gave us a quote of $1.8 million. It's roughly a 49-month wait for the build date. Chief mentioned that there is an incentive to pay early. The incentive is somewhere around $200,000 to pay if you pay for it within 30 days of the order. So it's definitely something to consider. They're still in the process of getting 2 more quotes for it outside of the first quote. Let's see, the new pickup truck and trailer are in service. The old trailer got sold. Radios from the grant are being programmed. The EMS finished off the money that they had in their grant with some miscellaneous equipment and supplies. They had a little bit of money left and they were forced to spend that by a certain deadline, so they finished all that off. That's all I have. The next meeting is Tuesday, July 9th. It's not on a Wednesday because 2 of the members couldn't be in attendance on that Wednesday
At 6?
at 6 p.m.
Okay. Any questions for Jim? Okay, we'll go to C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Reports and News, and it is in the packet. D, Hortonville Civic Association, Jane?
We have decided we are going to revamp the Oktoberfest event. It is going to be September 21st of this year. It will be at Commercial Club Park. And we are, of course, the donations and everything we will, and then go towards the park funds. It is going to be called the Ernie Brenneman Annual Memorial Oktoberfest. For those who don't know, Ernie Brenneman was a teacher here for many years at the high school, and he started the polka band Dorf Kapelle, and they will be there playing. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll need lots of volunteers.
Any questions for Jane? Okay, E, Senior Activities Committee, and we do not have a report tonight. Then we will go to 12, comments and suggestions from citizens present. Anyone? Okay. 13, I would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned at 7:24.